which was a flexibility that Fonterra itself did not enjoy because it had to take all milk delivered to it whenever and pay for it. Fonterra, not to weep too much on their behalf, had received a very significant benefit from the original merger, which of course took place by the Commerce Act being suspended by the then Labor-led government. But it would be unfair if suppliers to Fonterra were paying an unfair subsidy to the competitors of Fonterra, which in effect, in the event, proved to be the case. This bill provides some balance and certainty to that situation. It permits regulations to be made that replace the current wholesale milk price formula with the Fonterra farmgate price, plus a seasonal margin of 10 cents per kilogram of milk solids from the 2010-11 dairy season. It also allows for raw milk to be allocated through an auction process in the future. This will mean, Mr. Speaker, that a framework and a system will exist to manage excess demand for regulated raw milk by independent processors and therefore manage the transition risk associated with the approaching end to the statutory obligation that Fonterra has to supply regulated raw milk, which runs out very soon, and thus there is some urgency about this bill. The previous government had intended that the auction should start in the 2009-10 season, and that auction was, of course, to allow for excess demand to be priced rather than regulated through quantity of supply, and the price mechanism would also have a component that would guarantee supply to small processors. So all elements of the dairy industry were taken into account. For a variety of reasons, this option ran out, and the first auction will now take place in the 2010-11 dairy season. This change has created considerable uncertainty for the dairy industry, and it's very desirable that that uncertainty is ended as quickly as possible so that informed investment decisions can be made for the 2010-11 season. The option which this bill supports will mean that there will be a fair and efficient price, that any excess demand is managed efficiently, that uncertainty in the industry is removed, and there will be a stepping stone provided to introduce an auction system. It will also mean that there is no incentive for Fonterra to manipulate its wholesale price, because to do so would mean that it would have to overpay all of its farmers, not the 4% that are being supplied as independent processors, but the other 96% of Fonterra suppliers, and that is not economically credible or viable for Fonterra to do. So any temptation they might have had to overprice will be dampened somewhat by the cost of any such action. And I think that's rather a neat solution to what could have been otherwise a significant problem. Replacing the current regulated price formula, that is the wholesale price of milk, with the Fonterra farmgate price plus 10 cents per kilo of milk solids from 2010-11 does require amendments to the original Dairy Industry Restructuring Act, and this bill provides for those amendments. I support its second reading and its progress through the House. The dairy industry is, of course, our major export industry. It is among our most efficient industries. It is highly competitive on world markets. It has been innovative, and it has expensed a significant amount of New Zealand's research and development budget to ensure its position as our number one exporter. And I think it well behoves the House to take this bill seriously and expedite it so that all of the measures that I've mentioned in the words I've addressed to the House so far can take place in a timely manner.
Call the member for